Hello everyone, Just Podcast TV is here. Please don't forget to like and subscribe and hit the bell icon to get notified on new contents.
Episode 383. New clue. It's rude to yell, but no one's paying attention to it now. Just like what Big Boss had asked, everyone was curious as to why the Wind Chaser could get 2 awards. The organizer seemed to have expected this kind of question. He gestured for the audience to quiet down before speaking. Then I would like to ask everyone a question. According to the rules of our organizational meeting, anyone who sees a clear rule that a car can only receive 1 award? The question from the organizer made everyone present dumbfounded. Luna suddenly slapped her thigh. I remember now. There really doesn't seem to be this rule. It's just that no car has ever received a second or more award. So over the past 10 years, everyone will mistakenly read it as that every car can only receive 1 award. At this time, the organizer also said something similar, what Luna had just said now. He also indicated that the organizers had never stipulated that each car could only receive 1 award. Big Boss, who was next to him, made a rule that he wanted to find out about it, but unfortunately, he didn't. So even if he was very, very unhappy, he had no choice but to glare helplessly. When Carson came down from the podium, he deliberately put the 2 trophies in his left and right hands for Big Boss to see. I'm really worried. I actually want to bring 2 trophies back. What do you think if I set up a trophy? Big Boss's face darkened. He turned his head and ignored him. Of course, Carson could not take both trophies away. At least one belonged to QZ, so Luna could take it back. However, Luna was happy to give it to Carson for the time being. She wanted Carson to smash that fat face of the brown-haired guy next to her. At this time, Zach was relieved. He had also read the rules and regulations of the organizing committee wrongly. He thought that each car would only get 1 prize. That was great. There was still a chance. If he could get 2 in a row, he might even get 3 trophies in a row. It was not just Zach who thought so. The others present also thought the same thing. They originally thought that their expectations were quite high. After all, Wind Chaser had already won the Environmental Protection Award. And now, Wind Chaser has also won the Performance Award. This made them feel that the situation wasn't good. The Wind Chaser had already robbed them of their 2 trophies. When the organizer picked up the card and opened the red package paper bag, the audience went silent. Everyone present was looking forward to seeing the world's most valuable prize, the Wind and Cloud Car Award. However, what exceeded everyone's expectations was that when the organizer spoke, he said, regarding the world's annual Wind Cloud Car Award, I think we should announce it after the dinner ends. After hanging everyone's appetites, the organizer actually played such a trick, which made everyone present very depressed. But there was no other way. After all, the organizers were profit-oriented, and no one could influence them. They could play however they wanted, so everyone would have to accept it. However, Luna thought it was not bad either. At least she saved the celebration dinner later on. Even if she paid to host the celebration dinner, the company would reimburse it when she got back, but it would save a bit. During the dinner, countless company bosses came over to toast to express their congratulations. Fortunately, it was not because of the deep feelings within the country, so they stopped at the appointed time. A glass of wine could accompany many people. On the other hand, Big Boss's side seemed to be more depressed. The complacency he had when he was teasing the windmill was gone, and he was only depressed. No matter what, he could not understand why the Wind Chaser would receive 2 awards. Could it be that other than the hydrogen power system, was there really something else to gain from this car? Therefore, he decided to get one later to experience it. After the banquet, the awards ceremony continued, and this time, the organizer no longer kept everyone in suspense. Please forgive me, everyone. The reason why the banquet was held just now was to respect the results of the relevant personnel's labor. The so-called achievements of labor were obviously referring to the banquet. Then under what circumstances would it cause many car companies' bosses to leave the venue angrily and even refuse to use the banquet? Everyone present was smart, so they immediately opened their eyes wide. Indeed, in the next moment, the organizer announced, "The brand of the world's annual Wind and Cloud car is Wind Chaser!" Many of the famous big shots in the automotive industry were furious when they found out that the result was Wind Chaser. Out of the 6 grand prizes, 3 were stolen by Wind Chaser. When they came back empty-handed, more than half of the audience left in an instant. Although it wasn't over, there was also a speech to receive the award, but they didn't want to hear it anymore. They were tired of hearing it. They had already heard it twice. There was actually a 3rd time tonight. Big Boss wanted to leave too, but he was stopped by Carson. "Hey, don't leave, my old friend. You have to maintain your gentlemanly demeanor and share the joy of winning the award with me." Big Boss angrily left. He knocked down quite a number of chairs like a wild boar, which was enough to show his anger. Carson, on the other hand, laughed loudly. This was the happiest time in his life when he was scolded. "Why did you have to put a wall in front of me?" Carson had wanted to step into a new source of energy many years ago, but he didn't get what he wanted. Now that he had made a comeback with Zach, he had finally caught up to the last train of the new energy, but he had forcefully opened up a new road. With the help of the Wind Chaser, he even stood on the podium that he had never dared to think of before. Carson was especially excited. Very quickly, the newspapers all over the world were tirelessly reporting on tonight's events, because this was something that never happened before at the world's annual Wind and Cloud Car Grand Award ceremony held by the WCA. Wind Chaser cars cut down 3 awards in one night, laughing at the car industry. Zach was very happy. Luna was very happy. Carson was very happy. And all the people who bought the car, who heard the news, were very happy. After they left the meeting that night, Zach and Luna and Carson went to find a place to celebrate. Zach waved the trophy of the Wind and Cloud Award in the restless music, looking a little wild with joy. However, when Luna and Carson were not paying attention, he deliberately broke the trophy when it slipped out of his hand. This thing was not made of alloy. It was unknown what material it was made of, although it was quite fragile. Once it was broken, it would break into pieces. It was like a vase. The moment it shattered, a little thing fell out of the trophy. Zach quickly stepped on it. At this moment, Luna and Carson lowered their heads. They looked at the broken pieces on the floor and were stunned. After a long time, Luna said in disbelief, "There are only 2 cups left. How are we going to take photos when we return to the country?" Episode 384, Honey. No one would have thought that they would receive 3 trophies on an overseas trip. That was why Zach and the other 2 were especially happy. However, when they saw Zach happily smash the Wind and Cloud Award, they felt sad. This made it difficult for them to continue being happy. After Luna judged Zach as a prodigal in shock, Carson also spoke. "Director Marquez, after we return to the country, there will definitely be media looking for us to take photos. The outside world knows that we got 3 trophies, but only 2 of them were taken back. How can this be explained?" Zach did not care at all. "What's there to be afraid of? We'll just find a fake one tomorrow. Anyway, everyone knows that we are the winners. Who would dare to doubt that the trophies in our hands are fake? As long as it's in our hands, the fake one is also real. As long as the position was there, it was fake. It was also true. No one dared to doubt it, and no one would doubt it." Luna and Carson looked at each other and were instantly amused. That's right. After throwing this matter to the back of their minds, the 3 of them continued to drink and celebrate happily. While Luna and Carson were not paying attention, Zach secretly put the things he stepped on into his pocket. Zach also left with the 2 trophies and returned to the hotel. Zach took out the information hidden in the wind and cloud trophies from his pocket. There were indeed traces of his parents left on it. 4 years ago, his father performed a liver transplant surgery in a hospital called Honey. However, there was only this point. Other than that, there were no other clues. Zach lit a cigarette and thought about this matter. His father's disappearance was close to 10 years ago. 4 years ago, he had a liver transplant surgery in a small hospital in the country that was not famous. This proved that what the old fox said was true. His father and stepmother did not die at all, and they seemed to have enough freedom of movement. At least they could go to the hospital for surgery, and they could also make a phone call to send their blessings on the old fox's birthday. But why didn't they want to see him? And why did they have to hide the information in the trophy? They kept dragging him forward to look for him. Zach didn't quite understand. Moreover, the liver transplant surgery made him a little worried. He had almost forgotten that he had read about it in a medical magazine. It seemed that the person who had the surgery said that the organ transplant would only allow them to live for 10 years at most. This was something that happened 4 years ago. Zach was somewhat worried that something might happen to his father. After taking a deep breath, Zach took a photo of the information and prepared to send it to the old fox. But after thinking about it, he deleted it. He called the old fox. "Grandpa, I got the trophy. I also saw the message in the trophy. There's a clue in the trophy pointing to a hospital. I'll check it out when I get back tomorrow. I'll let you know if there is any new information." Zach did not tell him about his father's liver transplant. He did not want the old fox to worry about his son. After chatting with the old fox on the phone for a while, Zach ended the call. After the plane returned, Zach did not go with Carson and Luna. As soon as the 2 of them left the airport, they were surrounded by some media outlets. They took all kinds of photos and interviews. Now that Wind Chaser had become famous, Zach could specially erase his traces on the internet. He didn't want too many people to know about him. When a person became famous, he would become a rare animal. He would be noticed wherever he went. People would take pictures of him wherever he went. Zach didn't want his privacy to be exposed. That was why he told Luna and Carson to handle the press when he got off the plane. The 2 of them attracted the attention of others, and he escaped by himself. In fact, the 2 of them had indeed attracted enough fire. 1 car with 3 trophies was unprecedented. Therefore, various media outlets were scrambling to interview the 2 of them, and they surrounded the 2 of them so tightly that not even a drop of water could leak out. At this time, Zach had already gotten into Donnie's car and was rushing towards the city where Honey Hospital was located. He had to find out where his father and stepmother had gone. Episode 385, Family Trouble. Donnie, who had been taken away due to a traffic accident, was released on the same day. The custom-made car that had been hit by Bugatti had finally been returned. This matter was worth mentioning. At the same time, the car door had caved in and the middle pillar had caved in, so Donnie drove it to the repair factory. After Zach landed from the plane today, the car finally came back. This car is still comfortable. Zach sat in the back seat. It was very comfortable. The feeling of sitting in the car was not any worse than the luxurious cabin on the plane. After that, Donnie said to him, "Boss, this car has changed." Zach was slightly stunned. "What do you mean? The engine is down?" Donnie shook his head. "No, the power has not decreased, but the power system and territory have been adjusted. It is better than before. But I noticed that the serial number on the frame is different. Previously, our serial number ended in 05, but this time, it's 08. Zach understood. This is a car frame and body that was formed from one body. As long as it's damaged, there's no way to repair it. We can only change it again. Then Zach asked about the proper business. When he got the news last night, he called Donnie and asked him to check in on this hospital. Donnie started to report to him. According to him, the Honey Hospital used to be very powerful. Although it was not a public hospital, it was still very famous for its skills and experts. The fees were not high, and the business was superb. It was quite good in the public opinion of the people in the region. However, because of 3 consecutive medical accidents 3 years ago, the hospital's reputation was completely tarnished. Now, it was even more so due to the lack of funds to pay off the debt, and it was currently in the midst of auctioning off all the assets of the hospital to pay for the hospital's loan in the bank. Since it's a good hospital, why did 3 medical accidents happen in a row? Zach asked. Donnie shook his head. Sorry, boss, I am also concerned about this, but the time is too short. I have not had the time to investigate. Zach replied, indicating that it was nothing. He could understand that Donnie had already found out so much about last night's news today. His efficiency was already pretty good. Let's go to the hospital to take a look first. We'll look into more details when we get to the hospital. The car sped along. When they arrived at the city where the Honey Hospital was located, it was already evening. Going to the hospital in the evening was obviously pointless. The leaders were not around, so there was no way to talk about anything. Therefore, after having some food with Donnie in the hotel, Zach went out for a walk. While exercising his body, he was already thinking about the Honey Hospital. He needed to investigate the Honey Hospital's information, and the Honey Hospital was currently in the midst of auctioning off all their legal assets. To put it bluntly, this hospital was preparing to resell it to another person to become the director of the hospital. Zach had already discussed with Kate about Millie's matter a long time ago, and he wanted to be a hospital manager in the future. Putting aside other things for now, at the very least, he could not let patients in the same situation as Millie lose their lives because they could not afford the medical expenses. Now that he had encountered this Honey Hospital, Zach felt that it was a good opportunity. He bought this Honey Hospital. Not only could it be more convenient for him to inquire about his father's treatment process and clues, but it could also help patients like Millie. Whether it was doing good deeds or doing very good deeds, he felt that it was worth it. When he called Kate and told her about the situation, Kate expressed her great support. Hubby, don't worry. I will do my best to make connections. I will try my best to make medical services. At the same time, I will make it a major business in the group. I will let Dream Hospital develop as soon as possible and serve more patients. The one who understood his thoughts the most was Kate. She knew everything without saying anything. After chatting with Kate for a while, Zach hung up the phone. But at this moment, he heard the sound of crying in front of him. The one crying was a child, about 4 or 5 years old. Through the glass window, she pointed at a doll in the Barbie doll shop and cried, No, I want it! I want it! They were both children, but the difference between this girl and Millie was like heaven and earth. However, it was not that she was not good. After all, children nowadays were more or less like this. Beside her, the mother of this little girl was about 35 years old. She was very beautiful. She was wearing an ordinary floral dress. Squatting down, she comforted the little girl. We don't have any money now. We can buy it when we have money in the future, all right? Beside her and the little girl, there was a man who seemed to be the same age as her. His face was filled with displeasure. Yes, we don't have any money. Your grandfather dug a hole and filled it up. If you want to buy it, ask your grandfather for it. The girl's mother was very unhappy. What nonsense are you spouting in front of the child? The man called Greg was very unhappy. I'm talking nonsense? Sandra, say it yourself. How much money did her grandfather take away from us? He took all our assets and even pawned our house. Did I lie? Greg roared on the street. Sandra did not want to be laughed at by people watching her fight on the street. Therefore, she did not say anything in the face of her husband's roar. She only coaxed the little girl, Leandra. Leandra did not care about that much. Even if her father and mother broke her head, she only wanted the Barbie doll that was worth more than $20 in the shop. She did not care about the value of more than $20. What kind of concept was it to her family right now? She only knew that she must get what she liked. Greg left, leaving the two of them behind. This was his dissatisfaction with his father-in-law, and also his dissatisfaction with his wife. Sandra was still coaxing, and Leandra was still crying and rolling on the ground. No matter how Sandra coaxed, she could not coax, and she was also not in a good mood. Hence, her mood completely exploded. She dragged Leandra up and placed her on her knees. She raised her hand and gave Leandra a slap on her butt, causing Leandra to cry and cry. "Mom, I don't want it anymore. Don't hit me anymore. I don't want it anymore." Her daughter didn't want it anymore. This was supposed to be a good thing, but Leandra's crying and begging made Sandra's tears fall. She felt very sorry for the child. The child only liked toys, but she did not have money to buy them. Not only did she not buy them, but she also even used the anger in her heart to vent on the child. This made her very regretful and sad. But at this time, a young man appeared. He held a Barbie doll in his hand and handed it to Leandra. "Baby, you must be obedient. Only then will you have a toy. Acting spoiled and stubborn will not get you what you want." The smiling young man was Zach.